I want a word with all you tigers, all you men know which ones you are. I like you. They made TV history together, but Barbara Feldon and Don Adams barely spoke off screen. Now at 91, Agent 99 is finally telling all the executive who wanted her gone, the fake spy she married, and the devastating reason she disappeared from Hollywood, from secret addictions to stolen fortunes. This is the dark story behind America's favorite spy comedy. Barbara Feldon was born as Barbara Ann Hall on March 12, 1933 in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. She grew up in a quiet suburban neighborhood with her parents and her older sister Patricia. Her father worked in the paperbox industry, and her mother took care of the home from a young age. Barbara had a creative spark. She loved the arts and felt drawn to performing, though she didn't know then how far it would take her. In high school, she discovered acting and quickly became passionate about it. She spent hours training at the Pittsburgh Playhouse, a well-known school for young performers. Her talent grew, and when it was time for college, she chose to study drama at Carnegie Institute of Technology, now known as Carnegie Mellon University. It was one of the best drama schools in the country, and by the time she graduated in 1955, she had built a strong foundation in acting. She was also an active part of campus life, and joined the Delta Chi chapter of Kappa Kappa Gamma sorority. One of the things that made Feldon stand out on screen was her unforgettable stare and intense and almost hypnotic look that made her performances so unique. But this wasn't something she learned in acting school. It actually came from her nearsightedness. The way she focused her vision gave her a natural, alluring gaze, and what could have been a small inconvenience in everyday life ended up becoming one of her signature traits as an actress. Barbara Feldon arrived in New York City in 1957 hoping to become an actress. She had talent and ambition, but like so many newcomers, she struggled to find roles to support herself. She worked as a showgirl at the Copacabana nightclub. She also performed in a revival of the Ziegfeld Follies. These jobs helped her gain confidence on stage, but they didn't bring her any closer to her dream. Acting opportunities were scarce, and she needed another way to make a living. That's when a chance encounter changed everything. At a party, she met a successful model named Gillies McGill, who suggested she try modeling. Feldon wasn't convinced at first. She saw modeling as something temporary, not a real career, but McGill insisted, so she gave it a shot. She started as a house model for designer Pauline Trier, then quickly moved into high fashion. Her tall, striking look made her a perfect fit for the industry. Soon she was traveling for photo shoots and earning far more than she had as a struggling actress. Modeling gave her more than just financial stability. It taught her how to carry herself with confidence and how to work with cameras. She learned about lighting, styling, and how to project personality in front of an audience. These skills would prove invaluable later in her career. That same year, Feldon made an unexpected move into television, not through acting, but by winning the $64,000 Question, one of the most popular game shows at the time. Her chosen subject was Shakespeare, a bold choice, considering she had only earned average grades in college drama classes, but she was determined. She studied for up to 14 hours a day, memorizing every detail she could. When she finally stepped onto the show, she impressed audiences with her intelligence and poise. She won the grand prize, but lost her chance to double it on the $128,000 Question. A few weeks later, the win brought her a brief moment of fame. Newspapers covered her story, and with the prize money, she and her husband opened an art gallery in Greenwich Village. The gallery focused on abstract expressionist art. But despite their efforts, it struggled financially. Within a few years, her husband returned to advertising, and Feldon once again found herself searching for new opportunities. Then came the moment that would change everything. She was cast in a commercial for Revlon's Top Brass Hair Pomade, a men's grooming product. The ad was simple. Feldon lay on an animal print tiger rug, gazed into the camera, and called the male audience tigers. It was playful, sultry, and completely different from anything on TV at the time. The commercial became a sensation. People couldn't stop talking about it, and Feldon became known as Tiger Girl. The attention was both exciting and frustrating. The ad made her famous, and the pay was incredible. She once revealed that a single commercial earned her more money than an entire season of Get Smart, but casting directors now saw her as just a commercial actress. She landed guest roles on shows like Flipper, 12 O'Clock High, and The Man from UNCLE, but she still wasn't getting the kind of roles she wanted. Then came an unexpected call. Mel Brooks and Buck Henry, the creators of Get Smart, had seen her in the Revlon commercial, but it wasn't just her beauty that caught their attention. They saw something else: charm, presence, and the kind of charisma that could work in comedy. One of the show's producers, Leonard Stern, later admitted that Feldon's very sensual performance in the ad made them take notice. Not everyone was convinced she was right for the role. One of the show's sponsors objected because she had endorsed a competing product just 2 weeks into filming. Their CEO demanded she be fired. Feldon tried to fight it. She explained that the commercial had been filmed long before she got the role. Revlon even agreed to stop airing it, but none of that seemed to matter. The decision wasn't in her hands. Then something unexpected happened. NBC refused to back down. They kept her on the show. A year later, Get Smart was a huge hit, and that same CEO who had tried to fire her invited her for a photo op. She smiled for the camera, knowing she had won, but this wasn't The only challenge she faced playing Agent 99 was already unusual for the time. Women in the 1960s were usually written as side characters, not top-level spies. If they were involved in action, they were often in distress, waiting to be saved. Agent 99 was different. She was skilled, smart, and always one step ahead. Maxwell Smart, played by Don Adams, might have had the title of top agent, but everyone knew who really got the job done. This balance wasn't an accident. The show's creators, Mel Brooks and Buck Henry, wrote Agent 99 as a mix between the traditional woman of the 1950s and the independent spirit that was growing in the 1960s. Sometimes she let Max take the lead to protect his pride, but she never needed to prove she was the smartest person in the room. She simply was. Then there was the height issue. Feldon was 5 feet 9 inches taller than Adams, which was a problem in an industry where male leads were expected to be the tallest. To fix it, she often had to slouch or go barefoot in scenes. Sometimes Adams stood on platforms to even the difference. It was a small detail, but it showed how television still wasn't used to having a strong woman share the spotlight. None of this stopped the show from becoming a success. The chemistry between Feldon and Adams made Get Smart one of the most memorable comedies of its time. Max was clumsy and overconfident, while 99 was always calm and capable. Their dynamic made the show work, and audiences loved it. Here's the content in paragraph form without skipping any words. Barbara Feldon's career had its ups and downs. In 1975, she played a cold, self-absorbed beauty pageant coordinator in Smile. The movie was sharp and well-reviewed, but it didn't give Feldon a fresh start. She took roles in other films like No Deposit, No Return, but none of them changed the way Hollywood saw her. Part of the problem was timing. Most movies in that era revolved around male leads, and good roles for women were rare. She also never fully committed to life in Los Angeles, which limited her chances in film. Even with these setbacks, she didn't dwell on what she couldn't change. She focused on what she could. She found steady work in hosting and voiceovers in the 70s and 80s. Her voice became familiar in commercials for brands like Revlon. She also hosted entertainment news shows and big events like the Tournament of Roses parade. Voiceover work let her stay connected with audiences without facing the frustrations of typecasting. Over time, she realized she was drawn to quieter, more creative pursuits like writing. One of the biggest surprises she ever shared about her career was how fame had made her feel. She never set out to be famous, and when it happened, it felt strange. She once said it was like living someone else's life. People treated her like a star, but she never saw herself that way. She knew fame could disappear as quickly as it arrived, and she refused to let it define her. That mindset shaped the choices she made later. Instead of chasing roles, she stepped back from Hollywood and focused on writing. In 2003, she published Living Alone and Loving It, a book about independence. It struck a chord with readers who admired her honesty. She had once been one of the most recognizable faces on television, but she never let that fame control her. Instead, she built a life that made her happy, one that had nothing to do with being Agent 99. Barbara Feldon's love life was filled with passion, heartbreak, and ultimately self-discovery. Her first marriage to Lucien Verdoux Feldon in 1958 started like a dream. He had a European accent, a mysterious past, and stories that sounded straight out of a spy novel. He claimed to be a pilot and even hinted at being an actual spy. For a young actress stepping into show business, it was thrilling, but reality didn't take long to catch up. Lucien had a dark side. He struggled with gambling, infidelity, and drug addiction. His gambling habit was so extreme that he burned through much of the prize money Barbara had won on the $64,000 question, where she had demonstrated an impressive knowledge of Shakespeare. As the marriage unraveled, Barbara realized that the man she had fallen for was not the person he had pretended to be. The charm faded, replaced by disappointment. In 1967, the marriage ended. But even after the divorce, Barbara kept his last name professionally. By then, she had become a household name as Agent 99 on Get Smart, and changing her name could have disrupted her rising career. Years later, when Lucien passed away in 1991, she did something unexpected. She spoke at his funeral. Despite everything, she looked back on their time together as an adventure. It was a chapter of her life that, while painful, had shaped her. Not long after her divorce, Barbara found love again. This time it was with Burt Naudella, the producer of Get Smart. They were together for over a decade, from 1968 to 1979, but they never married or had children. Eventually, Barbara realized that they weren't meant to be life partners. The relationship ended, but the bond they had built remained. Even after they went their separate ways, they stayed close until Burt's passing. This period in her life marked a turning point. After the breakup, Barbara moved back to New York City, but instead of searching for another relationship, she embraced something different: solitude. It wasn't loneliness, it was independence. She didn't see being single as something to be pitied. Instead, she saw it as an opportunity. Living alone gave her the freedom to grow, explore new interests, and build deep friendships. She had no regrets about not remarrying or having children. Society had long pushed the idea that fulfillment came from marriage and family, but Barbara never felt pressured by those expectations. In interviews, she spoke candidly about the joy she found in her own company. Over time, she watched cultural attitudes shift. The idea that a person could be happy on their own became more widely accepted. She found that change refreshing. Looking back, her journey wasn't just about love and loss, it was about self-discovery. She proved that happiness isn't always found in someone else, sometimes it comes from within. Living alone and loving it is more than just advice on being alone. It's a personal journey that began when her long-term relationship ended. Most people would see that as a loss, but she saw it as an opportunity. Best known for playing Agent 99 on Get Smart, Feldon had spent years in the public eye. But when she found herself living alone, she realized something important. Happiness doesn't have to depend on being with someone. Society often pushes the idea that being single means something is missing, but Feldon disagrees. She believes solitude can be freeing. It gives people a chance to grow, explore their own interests, and build a strong sense of self. In her book, she shares how to stop negative thinking and find joy in everyday life. She talks about the freedom of setting your own schedule, making decisions without compromise, and discovering what truly makes you happy. Her words connect with people at different stages of life: young adults stepping into independence, older individuals adjusting to change. She even brings in wisdom from writers like Rainer Maria Rilke, adding a thoughtful touch to her reflections. But at its core, her message is simple. Being alone doesn't have to mean being lonely. It can be a time of discovery and fulfillment. Feldon has always been more interested in personal growth than fame. Get Smart made her a star, but she never chased celebrity status. She enjoyed the excitement, but she also saw the downside: fame could be isolating. Over time, she realized she wanted something deeper. Writing gave her that. It became a way to understand herself and connect with others on a more meaningful level. Even now at 90, she still speaks about the importance of living authentically. She values simplicity and self-acceptance. She believes success isn't about staying in the spotlight, it's about finding peace in who you are. One of the most surprising things about Feldon is how she walked away from major acting opportunities after Get Smart. She had the chance to take on big roles but turned them down. She even declined cameos in Get Smart remakes, including the 2008 movie with Steve Carell and Anne Hathaway. She felt these projects wouldn't capture what made the original special. Barbara Feldon has chosen a quiet and thoughtful life in her later years. She lives alone in a peaceful apartment on Manhattan's Upper East Side, just a short walk from Central Park and the Guggenheim Museum. The space is simple and elegant, with high ceilings, wooden floors, and large windows that let in plenty of light, a place that reflects her personality: calm, uncluttered, and filled with warmth. Living alone wasn't always part of her plan, but over time, she came to love the independence it gave her. Writing became one of her greatest joys. She contributed essays to Metropolitan magazine, and in 2024, she published her memoir Getting Smarter. In her writing, she explores the lessons she has learned about love, career, and the power of self-reliance. Though she rarely acts anymore, she still takes part in poetry readings and sometimes joins small theater productions, drawn to the creative energy of live performance. She enjoys the simple things. Every morning she meditates before making coffee and settling in with a book. She has a deep love for literature, especially the works of Edith Wharton. When she wants a change of pace, she watches Korean dramas, which she finds both relaxing and engaging. Even though she spends a lot of time alone, she is far from isolated. She has close friends she cherishes and values small connections in daily life: a kind exchange with a barista, a friendly conversation with a shopkeeper. These moments remind her that connection doesn't always have to come from deep relationships. Sometimes it's just about being present and engaged with the world around you.